So I'm going to do my sync. 1, Hunter.
3, 2, 1.
Jack.
I'm not recording yet.
Kyle.
I'm recording now.
Do your sync.
Oh.
No, 3, 2, 1. Words as well.
2, 1.
What a brilliant professional, starting in 20.
We found our bumper for the episode.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the HGO podcast. I'm your host, Ethan, and as always, I'm joined with the boys, Hunter, Kyle, and Jack. Hey, guys, you doing all right?
I'm doing just swell.
Pretty dandy.
You know, I've had a week off, man, and I completely lost it. I didn't know what I was like, what's the name of the podcast? What are we doing?
That's okay, dude. I introduced the episode like 4 times last week, so...
I know. I watched. It was a good episode.
Your intro last week was really funny.
Yeah, it was good. I
it.
liked it quite
Thanks,
a bit.
I don't remember anything. I kind of just blacked out for an hour.
Yeah. It was...
Is that what hosting does to you?
Basically. That's what you gotta learn to just stare into the camera and kind of give like a bit of a nod, a bit of a grin, and just know that you're not thinking about what anyone is saying right now. That's exactly how you host a podcast. But yeah, welcome back to
The only thing I remember from last week was I pointed with my pencil a lot. So
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you put something in the hands of somebody who talks with their hands all the time.
Yeah, it happens quite a bit. That's why I keep it on like this, because if I did have my hands available, I'd be like, whoa, like going everywhere. But yeah. Whatever. Welcome back to HGO Podcast, where each and every week we come together and figure out what we're going to talk about, because, man, there's nothing to talk about in the world of video games.
Yeah,
We're not going to talk about Bethesda, and you can't make us.
Yeah, to be you just reminded me of a joke. That was a joke I was going to make, was welcome back to the HGO Podcast, the only show this week that's not talking about Bethesda. Like, that was what I was going to go for. Because, man... everyone won't shut up. I've seen it on Twitter, and I'm just like, if I see Bethesda trend one more fucking time this week, I'm honestly like...
It's incredible how it's always about the same thing.
I feel very out of the loop here, but we're not going to talk about it, so, whatever.
No, we're not. We're not going to
stay out of the
it.
loop. Just stay confused in my little rock house.
But no, only housekeeping we have this week is, if you didn't watch last week's episode, go and watch it. It was the first one without me. I mean, this one will also be a bit without me, because I kind of feel zoned out already. I am on medication right now, so just a heads up. If I am weird this episode, you now know why. Hey, it's all good. But no, how's everyone's week's been? Because I don't know. It's been an interesting one. Me and Kyle have been playing video games. You two haven't.
I have been just very sluggish this week, where I've just been tired most of the time and not productive.
How dare you? You're literally
I take it back. I got about half of the narration for the Resident Evil review done.
Yeah,
and
nice.
I could probably get the rest of it done the next time I sit down and decide to.
Maybe out this week. We'll see.
Hopefully.
But
video game wise, I haven't been doing anything.
Which is why we're now struggling to figure a topic for the podcast, because Hunter is the lifeblood of this podcast. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Hunter's not playing games, we're fucked, because I don't play video games. Kyle, if
I don't play modern games.
I take it back.
Rarely.
Actually, earlier this week, I played like a Night of Among Us.
Oh.
I finally got to do the airship map. That was interesting.
Nice. You know, it was
Why did they make all of the tasks so complicated all of a sudden?
Yeah, that map's just massive. That's my main problem with it. It's like a massive maze, and it's just far too easy for imposters to win on it. That's my main problem.
Yeah, I only got imposter once, and that was like the first time I was like on it, so I still didn't know like the layout yet.
Mm-hmm.
Every other time I was the crewmate, and yeah, all the tasks are annoying because it's just like extra steps for no reason.
Yeah. Gosh, I forgot about Among Us. Someone mentioned the other day, I was watching a live stream and someone was like, a year ago, it was completely okay to say the word sus or like imposter, and you wouldn't be like, Among Us, like fucking Jack over here working at McDonald's going like, look, it's the Among Us character. He's everywhere.
I can't, you know me. I'm a fucking goofball.
You know what's funny, though, I haven't heard very many Oh, sorry, Jack.
This is
rambling.
drawn on a sweet chili wrap, and then just pointed at him and orange sauce.
I hate you, like genuinely.
Like, people that work with me hate me, so you know.
Oh, that's funny now.
Yeah, fair enough.
But you're the manager, so you can't even get fired.
Yes.
Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But no. I guess honestly, this is the least prepared we've ever been for an episode, and I'm not like usually we have like a
It's not
loose
just saying
idea of a topic. We genuinely have fucking nothing. Like
Guys,
Hunter was
quick
like,
behind the scenes real quick. We've spent the last 45 minutes just talking about what we should talk about.
genuinely.
So that's how prepared we are.
We're the idiots who get a genie lamp and wish for what to wish for.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I've got stuff that I want to talk about, but I'm going to leave it till the end, more of the end of the podcast with what I've been playing. Same, Cal's been playing more Legend of Dragoon, so we can talk about that. We can talk about what I've been playing, mainly because audience retention. I know you guys aren't going to care what I've been playing, especially because it's an older game that we've talked about to death already. So, to keep you guys here, we're just going to chat shit.
I might know what it is.
You might be able to guess. You'll be
like
happy.
50,
I'll give you that.
I
I'll
have
give
like
you that
a
much of a clue.
50-50 chance.
So, I guess, Hunter, we're just going to roll with your topic, right? Because Hunter was like,
Cool.
let's just talk about like what some of our favorite games are in particular genres. In particular, the things that I think we should talk about is genres that we don't necessarily usually talk about as much. Obviously, we're going to mention stuff like RPGs, JRPGs, because if we didn't, Kyle would have nothing to talk about. So
It's true.
It's
Just
true.
peace out like Spider-Man.
My friend actually, my friend got a PS5 today as we're recording, and he's playing Spider-Man right now. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, man, what a
Like
lucky person
the
having a video game to play.
2018 game?
No,
or...
the Miles Morales, and I'm like, man,
Okay.
imagine having a video game, dude. Imagine, like,
I mean,
every time.
you could play it if you wanted.
I played
You
it like
have it.
I played it like 5 months ago. You know,
Yeah.
I played a bit of Astro again this week actually because I was bored and I beat all the Sam's
nice.
times. So it's funny. I hope he hasn't noticed and took them back. I'm nervous because I mentioned it on the podcast. Please not listening. Who the fuck listens to this podcast? I won't even get this far in the edit. It's fine. So we're going to talk about some of our favourite games and genres we haven't really talked about. So, Hunter, I'll throw it to you because this was your idea. Do you want to pick a genre first? We'll take it in turns to pick a genre that we don't usually talk about, I guess.
I just kind of pulled up a list here, and I'm scrolling through, so looking for one that we don't really... I feel like we don't really mention shooters that much.
Yeah, because I'm not allowed.
Why aren't you allowed? You're the one in charge.
Pardon? Because, right,
Your
here's
parents
the thing.
not buy you something. You can't get it.
I'm not old
No
enough, dude. I'm not
shooting
old
game
enough.
for you.
That doesn't
You have to
matter.
be this tall to talk about shooter games.
No, like, did anyone else have, like my mum in particular was very, like, kind of didn't want me playing shooters or whatever, or something like that. Or my
Really?
main thing with my parents was, like, blood, right? Like, no, people don't realize the original Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2 having the option to turn the blood off basically allowed me to play those video games because my dad bought them and was playing them, and my dad was like, "Yeah, you can play it. Just if your mum comes in the room, just turn the blood off." 'Cause that's basically what my dad's excuse was. Or it was like, if he's like, if you're playing Call of Duty, just make sure your mum's not around.
That's funny. My parents never really cared what I played. It was just more of my parents were kind of anti-video game or anti a lot of video game for a long time.
That's interesting.
They didn't respect it as a pastime until I got older.
See, I've already told the story because I've never had that problem. I've already told the story before on the podcast. I don't know if Jack was here when I mentioned it, but the reason that I got into gaming and there was a PS1 in my house was because my dad used it as an excuse of buying a PS1 for me, when in reality all he wanted a PS1 was to play Metal Gear. He didn't care about me. He was like, look, it's got these kids games. Look, I'll buy him Crash or Spyro or something. He just wanted to play Metal Gear. And that's the reason that I'm into video games. It's not because my dad wanted me to get into video games. It's because he wanted to play Metal Gear, and my mum was like, "You got to buy him something."
So what you're saying is, you have Hideo Kojima to thank for this.
Yeah, thank you, Thank you, Kojima. Very cool. But no, favorite shooters, I guess. Kyle, have you played a first-person shooter in your life?
I like Team Fortress 2.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, that one was
Alright.
wacky.
Go on then, talk it to us about it, because I don't think you've ever mentioned TF2.
Bro, I haven't played this game in like 7 years.
Yeah, but I know you I knew that you played TF2 a bit when back in the day, back in the good old days, back when it was like 2011, 2012, and people did that kind of thing. But we've never really talked about it because I played quite a bit of TF2 back in the day as well. So,
I mean, the main draw for me was I got into TF2 as a kid. I was in high school and got my first laptop, downloaded Steam, and I'm like, Team Fortress 2 heard a lot of good. It's free. I'll give it a whirl.
It's free, yeah.
That was it. I was a high school kid and didn't have money.
Yeah.
So
that's what got me to get things.
What did you play then? What was your main kind of thing in TF2?
I really liked Pyro.
Interesting pick.
I feel like that kind of explains a lot about me. Very brain dead. Just I wanted to run in and burn shit.
Monkey brain. Very monkey brain.
Exactly, dude. I wanted to monkey brain
Pyro
things and hit people with an axe.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I felt inclined, I would play Spy with the ice shiv and the dead ringer watch.
Right, you see, I was completely monkey brain, right? Because I didn't understand how Spy worked ever.
Oh my god.
I was like, I'm trying to stab and it's not working. I didn't realize you had to just go behind them and get it in a certain animation and backstab them. I just was swinging around going, whack, whack, whack. Why isn't this working? This character shit. And I was moved on.
I gave TF2 one try before, actually, and I didn't understand anything, so I gave up.
That sounds about right. Well, to be fair, I was kind of brain dead. I didn't really play much TF2, actual TF2. The main maps and main game modes. The main stuff I used to play and it's kind of awkward I can't say it, there was basically these maps that used to be called orange boxes, and I know that TF2 talking about orange box because obviously Valve released the orange box as well, so it's always weird. But there were these very meshy kind of wireframe maps that were very basic that you used to be able to play on, which I used to play on quite a bit.
Yeah. The multiplayer mode for Siphon Filter had maps like that, where it was basically the floor was just like a grid that moved around.
Basically. Yeah, that's basically what it was. It was basically imagine if a game was in early alpha and they had put the geometry down, but they hadn't textured anything. That's basically what it was. It was all geometry was all there and it was all working, but there was just no. But I used to play that, and I used to play a game called Saxton Hale. Did anyone ever?
Oh yeah.
What a fucking game mode! It was basically Mike Myers for people who haven't. If people played Call of Duty, but it was essentially you had a guy that was just heavy, and he was the biggest fucker on the map. He was huge, and he'd be chasing you, and he'd have he'd be able to yeet himself and launch himself miles into the air and jump and attack you essentially. And you were all playing as scouts with really lightning fast speed, and you just run around and stuff like that. And that was the most of the fun I got out of TF2. Because I say, monkey brain, don't think of actual objectives. I was just this is fun. I just run away from this guy.
Yeah, I was definitely a tried and true control point player.
Oh no, you see, it's funny that
Dude,
I
it was
liked
so
Overwatch
fun.
because, that's the stuff that I did not like in TF2 because I was I'm not good at this. I'm just gonna play the shitty meme modes for 100 hours. That's basically what I did.
See, what I liked about TF2 compared with Overwatch is that the smaller cast definitely helped, just make everyone seem really, really strong, whereas Overwatch just felt too, I don't want to say too bloated, but felt a bit too much at times.
I can agree with it. I mean, shock of the century, if I was to pick one, my favorite shooter, if we're talking about actual multiplayer first-person shooter, I've never been a massive fan of campaign shooters. I just never have. To me, they're just boring. It's it's brain-dead bots that I don't really care about. And obviously, I'm sure there are games like Doom or whatever that are a bit more interesting because there's platforming stuff like that. But even still, I'm not a huge fan of just corridor shooters in general, to be honest. I don't like the gameplay loop, just bores me. But in terms of multiplayer, co-op's a bit different, but in terms of multiplayer, 100% Overwatch. I played far too much Overwatch. I spent far too much money on Overwatch. If one game, I'm glad if it was any game that I spent a shit ton of money on and learned, hey, let's not spend money on microtransactions in video games. I'm glad it was Overwatch because I did really enjoy Overwatch and it wasn't some gacha shit where It was like trying to pull for stuff that I needed to complete the game or whatever. But man, Overwatch just hit at the right time. And it was kind of, my friends were sick of Call of Duty. I was sick of Call of Duty. It was just one of those games where we didn't have anything to play anymore. And then Overwatch came around, and it kind of, like, genuinely, for my first year of university, I did nothing but just literally go to university, do my work, go and play Overwatch for like 5 hours every night. Genuinely, I'd play Overwatch for like 5 hours every night. It was a problem, but it was a good problem. I remember doing sitting exams in university, and genuinely, I would have an exam, I'd do that exam, I'd come home, be like, I have an exam tomorrow, but for some reason, myself and 3 friends are going on Overwatch right now for some fucking reason, and playing Overwatch instead, because why not?
Studying's for nerds.
Exactly, but man, Overwatch just really hit at the right place at the right time, which is why I'm looking forward to Overwatch 2. Even after all the shit that's going down and Jeff leaving and stuff like that, I'm still excited for it. But when you said it's complicated, to me, it's intimidating is the word I'd use. As you see this massive roster of characters and you're like, that's intimidating.
Yeah.
But to me, it's
that's
not
where I'm coming from.
It's not complicated, really. Like, it looks more intimidating when it is, because when you realize what the characters are, you're like, oh, that's the character. Okay, I get it.
For sure.
It very much is. It's kind of like a fighting game, right? When you look at all those... I was just
going to say, it's no different from a fighting game roster. Yeah. Once you learn what archetypes everyone falls into, it's like, okay, everything makes sense now.
Yeah, and every character kind of fits a certain role in a certain scenario, so it makes sense. And I think the fun of Overwatch is kind of the closest I'll ever get to being liking a fighting game in a way. Is the fun of Overwatch is going, oh, I want to get better with this character, or I want to be good as this character. I want to learn how this character works more. And most of the time,
learn matchups.
Yeah. And most of the time, the best way to even just, like, I was a Tracer main back in the day. The best way to learn matchups was sometimes not even necessarily to play as Tracer and keep fighting, was to learn the heroes that I was bad against so that I understood how they worked and how people are good with that character, so then I can use that information to my advantage. I'm usually a monkey brain when it comes to most video games, but Overwatch was the one game where I was like, damn, I get this. And it was so well
big
done.
Big brain time.
And it truly was like the last big game Blizzard did that has been like critically beloved and everything like that, because everything else that Blizzard has kind of touched recently has kind of been lesser of quality and more about money, and Activision getting their grubby paws into it. So, kind of the last golden age Blizzard game, but man, I loved it. Anyway, Jack, you've been awfully quiet.
He was fiddling with golf balls earlier.
He's been fiddling with his balls again. Fiddling with his balls again. I'm not about it. What's your history of first-person shooters? Because I've never really talked to you about first-person shooters at all, I don't think.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, besides Splatoon, like, my brother always used to buy, like, Call of Duty games and shit, so we'd always, like, he'd sometimes get me to play with them. So most of my memories from them come from, like, Call of Duty World of War and that. And
classic.
like when Modern Warfare and that came out, I'd go over to my pals and play it with them. But I was completely dog shit at them, and I never really cared for them that way. But like I enjoyed like playing like zombie mode and that, like back in World of War. Those are like
I still play it. That's literally the only reason I buy Call of Duty. Still.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are like that though. With, like,
there is 100% a dedicated community who don't play multiplayer or the fucking campaign or anything, and genuinely just play the zombies mode when Treyarch games come out, and I'm 100% one of them. Is it a good value proposition? Fuck no, is it? Because I'm buying a game for a third of it, but it's still a really good co-op mode, and I think it's just because there aren't really that many good co-op shooters. Like, as much as it's been done, you have like COD Zombies, Left 4 Dead, and then it's like
what would be Back 4 Blood coming soon.
Like,
is Warzone that kind of
Battle Royale is, yes, it's a thing. Right, we're not talking about fucking Warzone, right? If we want to talk about Call of Duty real quick, my opinion on Warzone...
You killed Toys for Bob, we don't talk about it.
No, it's not even that. My problem with Warzone is that Treyarch's attempt at a Battle Royale called Blackout that was released the year before, in my opinion, is better. But the only reason Warzone is a thing and is done so well and is continuing to thrive is because they realized they fucked up with Blackout making you pay for it and made it free to play. So every time I play Warzone, I'm just sitting there going, oh, I wish they did this with Blackout because I had more fun with that because it was more fun. and it required more skill. Warzone is very much Call of Duty, monkey brain engage, just fucking run and gun everywhere, and then if you die, you go to the gulag where you fight a 1v1 on Rust, and you fucking 360 no-scope someone, and you get back in the game anyway, and then back in you go to monkey brain.
You're not even...
Fuckers.
It doesn't even take you out the whole game?
You get like an extra life. You basically go to the gulag, which is a 1v1, and if you win the 1v1, you redeploy and you get to go back into the map again. But the thing with Warzone that I don't like is my whole thing with Battle Royales. I thought the interesting thing about Battle Royale is every game's different. Even with something like Fortnite, where you're not guaranteed to have the same weapons every game. You're not guaranteed to encounter the same kind of people. And with Warzone, you can get custom classes. So genuinely, every Warzone fight is the exact same. It is launch in the place that you like to launch because you know there's a shit ton of money. Buy a fucking care package, chuck the care package down, get your custom class. There you go. You now have the same guns you use every fucking game. Time to go monkey brain, dude, and start fucking charging in.
Jeez.
Like that's what it is every time, and it just doesn't interest me in the slightest. But anyway, so what you're saying, Jack, is you have no experience with first-person shooters.
Besides Call of Duty and I think was it Medal of Honor and shit.
The one that existed before Call of Duty killed it.
And Brothers in Arms. Brothers in Arms.
Yeah,
and whatever.
Boomer Call of Duty's right there.
Literally, Boomer Call of Duty is like my first experiences for sure. It's like back on the PS2.
Yeah,
Jack,
nice.
you're forgetting about the best game.
What's that?
007. Nightfire.
How could I forget?
Come on,
about
man.
Nightfire?
It was a first-person shooter.
It was. It's just.
It was. How dare you?
I don't even know what to say about that game.
I would help you out.
Multiplayer
if I
was
could
pretty
remember
cool.
The multiplayer
anything.
was actually good. I remember the multiplayer being good.
I remember liking it a lot.
It wasn't like on Nintendo. It wasn't Golden Fire like levels of stupid with Odd Job being impossible to hit. But you know,
It does always kind of make me laugh that for the most part, like when you think of like shitty like cash grab games, it's kind of funny how overall decent the 007 licensed games have been over the years. Like there's been some stinkers, but most of the time they're at least average. There's never anything that's like truly like this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
That's also just like a lot of licensed games during like the PS2 era. It was like just not as much of a cash grab.
I mean, there are
always
still
a bit-
plenty. Have you not seen
There's still
My
plenty,
Friend
yeah,
Peppa
but-
Pig got announced this week, guys? There's a Peppa Pig game. Let's fucking go, dude. The only people that I saw liking that were fucking trophy hunters. They were like, it's our time, boys. Let's go.
Oh my
Fucking Peppa
God.
Pig. I'm like, Jesus Christ. No.
Yeah.
But no, 007 games, like, I didn't really grow up with them that much. The only one that I grew up with was like Quantum of Solace on the PS3. Can you imagine that, guys? Like,
No.
like it's like
That
it's
one was
basically
probably bad.
it was
Yeah,
not
that
bad.
wasn't
It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. It was basically Beige the video game, like every game on the PS3
Yeah, that's
generation.
what I was
dude.
thinking. I was like, oh man, it was probably just a PS3 shooter.
Oops, all beige, dude. Like, yeah, like the fucking entire map is just fucking grey. Like, but no. So I've not really, like, when people say, like, oh, GoldenEye is, like, one of the best shooters, I just look at it and go, this shit looks clunky as hell. And thinking of the N64 controller, I'm like, how does this compute? How does this
I look at N64 GoldenEye and think, how do you aim?
Yeah.
Like, straight up.
Like, yeah, because you're using the
Coming
analog
from the
stick to
never owned an
control,
N64 club, that thing only has one stick.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
My
Literally.
monkey
they
brain
put
doesn't
Doom on things
comprehend.
before the like dual control sticks came out too, so it's a good question.
Did you want to talk
Like
about
Doom 64 was a thing. Yeah, because that's
I
my
assume
favorite
that's
shooter.
yours, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah, mostly speaking about the 2016 and Eternal, because for the longest time I thought I just wasn't interested in shooters, but then I was like, wait a minute, it's just that all of them are boring, except for
Heyo.
these two, because now
How dare you.
I can just, it's just a nice open room where I can make like strategic decisions rather than just hiding in a corridor behind cover waiting for things to despawn. I can just murder everything in the room. I'm not waiting for my health to regenerate. It's amazing. They always manage to up the ante with each passing encounter. It's great.
I do find it I always feel like it's weird. I always feel like I've played a lot of first-person shooters, and I'm quite a fan of first-person shooters at times. I always feel like that's weird because I don't like most of all my other gaming like kind of genres that I like. You don't think that something like dude bro shooters or whatever is something that I would kind of align with. I always feel like it's one of those weird things where I'm just sitting there like, if you look at the rest of my gaming lineup and you see like a bunch of like JRPGs or RPGs or open world games, and you're just like, but he plays Call of Duty like and buys it like every year. I'm like, yeah, most people. Yeah. It feels weird, but that's hey, funny. I think it's just because I've always been good at them, and it's like being good at them helps. But it was also just it's like that was what my games like was like my friend's game basically was I played it with friends.
Yeah,
the nights I spent talking
Call of Duty would be.
It's a social game more than anything. The amount of nights I've spent just sitting in a party talking to people, and it's the background noise, dude. It's the fucking monkey brain. I need bright colors, flashing lights real quick so that I can keep up, you know?
Eventually, it was just like, nah, I don't feel like it, though. So now that I have a Switch, I'm almost never taking my friend up on offers to play Call of Duty when I'm hanging out with them. Yeah. I'm like, nah. It's okay though, because the way I played those games was always, it made people nervous because I never played like an actual person should. I was always killing people with a knife or standing next to them holding grenades.
That's the spirit.
I respect it.
Like doing the kamikaze garbage. It really messed with a couple of people he was playing with one day.
Yeah, I definitely have gone.
One time they were like, oh, everyone do like a sniper round. I'm like, no.
But no, yeah. I definitely have gone off them in recent years, but I don't play them as much. Like, I play the zombies mode or whatever. I'll play the multiplayer mode until I get bored, which is usually a week, and I'll be like, yeah, it's the same. I'm moving on. I'll play zombies occasionally and peace out and play something else. But no, first-person shooters, interesting category.
I guess as far as just general like multiplayer shooters, I also enjoy Splatoon.
Splatoon's a good one. I feel like, Splatoon, I have it's my most played Wii U game, and it's my second most played Nintendo Switch game. So I always feel it's weird, because I'm always like, oh yeah, I like Splatoon quite a bit, but I don't realize how much I play them when it comes out. Because I'm like, I like Splatoon, and I look at my time, and I'm like, I have 150 hours on the first one and 100 on the second. I'm like, Jesus, I've played a lot of Splatoon.
I played the first one.
It was just a really easy game to pick up and play in the first iteration. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't play as much of 2, but I played the first game a lot. I liked their little mini games while you were in the lobby.
Yeah, like the little 8-bit kind of things. Yeah, they were kind of cool.
Oh,
but no,
I forgot about those.
Yeah, squid jump.
I haven't thought about Splatoon since the Wii U died. So
yeah,
I didn't buy Splatoon 2. I love Splatoon 1 though. And I'll probably pick up 3 when that comes out.
I'm really looking forward to 3 in a weird way. Where when it first was announced, I was like, we're doing this again. And once I wrapped my head around the idea of, oh no, this is Splatoon 2. This is the sequel. Mm-hmm. Splatoon 2 was the expansion pack where they did the same game again but made it sell well. This is where they're actually thinking about it as a proper franchise now. I'm actually interested.
They're doing something still just makes me laugh because of like the abject confusion most people felt.
What is this? What is it? Splatoon? No, it's not Splatoon. Wait, it's Splatoon? Wait, expansion? It can't be Splatoon 3. We're not doing another Splatoon. It was like they were just rolling down that hill. It was so funny.
Eventually landing on what? Why?
Go watch their reactions on our channel.
We do have a reaction
part of it.
Yeah.
But I was just as confused as they probably were.
It's been ages
since the video.
It feels ages since we've done a reaction.
But
it's also...
Good thing E3's coming up.
Oh, my nightmare. Literally, just the whole idea of thinking that my week for that week is genuinely Thursday's the Summer Game Fest thing, like conference that we've got to react to. Friday's Ratchet and Clank that we have to play enough of to fucking do a first impressions on for the podcast. Then it's E3 weekend, where it's like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday will be even more conferences. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna die that week. Like,
At
I'm
least it
like,
gives you finally something to do.
yeah, for like
If-
4 days. I'll be like, why didn't you spread this out?
If the why can't we? Well, I would say why can't we spread it out? But I hated last year when everything was spread out.
Oh, it's that time of the week again where we get one trailer for a game 2 people will care about. Thank you, Jeff. That was what it was like last year.
Dude, if Keeley's thing before E3 is as bad as opening night live was the previous year, I'm gonna pull my eyes out of their sockets.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's my thing. My thing with opening night live.
I also think it happens at like 2 p.m. my time, so I don't think I'll be able to react to it.
The Summer Game Fest.
I won't either then.
I don't know what time the Summer Game Fest is. Thing I can have a look. But
You talk, I'll look it up.
Okay, cool. My whole problem with like opening night live was at least when we're laughing, like when we're watching the Game Awards, it's funny because we can laugh at the fucking awards and just how stupid things are. Like when Joseph Fares rises up on stage, we can start a fucking round of applause and saluting him, dude. It's like there's some fun things there at the Game Awards because you're kind of taking the piss out of it. You enjoy it and you're like, yeah, I'm enjoying the show unironically, but there's an ironic part to it where you're kind of just like laughing at it as well as with it at times. Opening night live was the most dull thing ever, where it was all the corporate of the Game Awards without any humor. There was just nothing funny to laugh at.
There was Godfall.
Oh man!
Ugh.
But no, what time is it?
The kickoff is at 2 p.m. Eastern
2 people
on June 10th.
Why is it so early?
What day's June
I
10th?
don't
Thursday.
know. Yeah, it's a Thursday. Cause
We might not be reacting to that one then.
Yeah, because I might not be here.
I will be at work.
Yeah. And it'll still be like prime time here, so it's not even like I won't have the place to myself. I'll be like, it'll be interesting. We'll make it work. But anyway, moving on.
It's okay. Of all the ones I would want to skim, that's probably it.
Yeah. Since I don't even know what this is.
Mm-hmm. What we could always do is if I'm watching it and it turns out to be a shit show, I could always do a thing where I could like get a compilation of the actual interesting things and tell you guys to not check Twitter or whatever, and then I'll be like, hey, here you go, here's the actual trailers that were good, here's the 5 minutes of good shit that you can have a look at without it being ruined. Maybe we'll see, we'll work it out. As you can tell, this podcast has got no fucking direction whatsoever.
Hey, it's not our fault nothing's happening in Game Land.
Honestly, yeah, it sucks being ill right now. Like being ill for like half of May was not fun because I'm like, there's nothing for me to fucking do. Like, at least if it was June, I'd be like, I'd have Ratchet to play, or if it was like something else, I'd have something. Or Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate Part 2, Part 1, Part 63, Nomura, a game directed by Tetsuya Nomura.
Hey, don't spoil the title of the next Kingdom Hearts game.
Do you think Kingdom Hearts gets a new game announcement this year, Kyle? At E3?
We're doing this now?
No, this is just a random question. This is a yes. This is not a prediction. We'll talk about it later in the predictions.
Not like a mainline Kingdom Hearts game.
Interesting.
But I think there's gonna be something related to it.
I feel like when we do our predictions...
If it's Verum Rex, that'd be fucking cool.
I feel like when we do our predictions, cool. I feel like we should do counter predictions and kind of like bets this time around.
Oh god, counter predictions. That shit was hard.
No,
that shit was hard enough on the Fantasy League.
I want it to be like a point.
He was like, that was only one.
Yeah, but it did so well. Like we got so many views and listens on podcasts. It was great.
That's great. I liked that.
We have to do an update at some point.
Oh man,
we're doing that in June too.
Busy week. Busy month.
Or do you want that to be next week's episode?
I feel like there hasn't been a lot that's happened since the last time that we.
Yeah, we'll give it.
Yeah.
Let's wait until
because there's a lot
Ratchet's
of shit happening in June.
Welcome
wait
to
until
HGO,
Ratchet's.
We plan episodes mid-episode.
Yeah.
While you're here, if you made it this far so far, leave a like because you're either asleep or brain dead for listening to this nonsense for 35 minutes. I digress. Brain dead squad, where you at?
I would even say like hold off on the update video until like near the end of June, like
that's
until
what
after
I'm thinking. I'm thinking until after
Mario Golf releases.
That's how I'm thinking is after the release. It's at least till after E3, so that people have enough time to put in their bets. They're putting their bids for E3 announcements, Once we have an idea of what this year actually looks like, then we'll do an update.
It's also just that June is a really busy month this year for games. For what we've taken, we got Ratchet, Guilty Gear, Scarlet Nexus, Mario Golf, Disgaea 6, but no one's gonna play that.
We've got and then even games that aren't necessarily getting reviews. We've got 7 Intergrade. We've got the Yuffie DLC. It's a very busy month. Can't wait. It'll be interesting to actually have games to talk about.
Finally, though.
Yeah, finally. It'll be like the fucking drought's over.
I can play a game that came out this year. Hell yeah.
Jack, I'm going to throw it to you.
So a genre that we haven't talked about, really?
Or a genre that you don't feel like you get to talk about that much. What is a genre that you like or have a favourite thing in that you don't really get to talk about that much? Jack's like, fighting games. I never talk about those.
Nah, I mean, I don't play that many fighting games, really. I just play Smash. Like, do I know about other fighting games? Yeah.
That's a party game,
Smash,
Jack. You got mixed up, dude. You got mixed up.
RTS, I guess. Like,
RTS?
Any you guys know anything about RTS?
I do not. Dude, this is like the one genre that I'm pretty sure I've just never touched.
Yeah.
I'm too monkey brain for RTS. The closest I get are turn-based strategies.
Like, any RTS game I've encountered, it's always been just dropped in this map and do this because. And I'm never interested in just doing something because.
Right. So this is going to be the Jakobine experience of Jakobine teaches monkey brains how to think about video games, because like I genuinely also do not like RTS.
Actually, I don't think Jack's ready for this.
I think he was just throwing something out there, hoping one of us would have something to say.
Yeah.
No, Jack's favourite genre is RTS, and he's going to tell us all about it right now. Because...
Alright guys, let me tell you about a game called Army Men RTS on the PlayStation 2. This shit was banging. It was the best game I owned as a kid.
Is this like the Army Men, like the little green people from Toy Story?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh,
yep. There was a PS1 game too. I owned that as a kid.
I've seen that in like the retro game store here and there.
I sold my copy to my retro game store.
Ethan's just dead. Oh, there he is.
I'm here. What's up?
Oh, you're muted.
No, I'm here.
How do you feel about the Green Army Men?
I have no opinion, dude. I have no opinion. Now, RTS has always been weird to me because I just don't click with them, and I never have. Like, I had friends that used to try and get me to play games like Civilization or Supreme Commander or stuff like that, and my brain would just be like, why? Like, I just don't get them. It's like my one genre that I don't get.
Yeah.
I usually play like the RTS adjacent games. Like I already brought up turn-based strategies like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics. And then also even tower defense games like Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah.
It's just like, I've never played a straight RTS game.
See, I've never been big into strategy in general because I'm dumb.
We're all monkey brains.
Yeah. If we want to just expand this into strategy games at large rather than real-time strategy, which is boring.
I'm still fucked. See you next time.
Hey, you played Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't enjoy the gameplay of Fire Emblem, so it's like...
Fair play.
I've always enjoyed Valkyria Chronicles' loop there, and it has a nice story, which helps, but I like the little way that all the different classes and how to use them then. They managed to balance the game in a way that it feels like they give you enough new things to learn throughout the game to not make it, the same thing over and over.
Jack,
I've
favorite
never played
strategy?
Fire Emblem yet, so
favorite strategy.
Yeah, any strategy game. We're literally, that's how fucking bottom of the barrel we're getting is. Have you played a strategy game, Jack? Please tell us about it.
I just told you, Army Men RTS.
I'm not calling Army Men RTS.
Well, hold on, you never actually told us anything about it besides that it was on the PS2.
That's a good point. You did not tell us anything. By the way, this whole section is just called Jack's favourite real-time strategy game. I'm not writing all these names down. This is just Jack's favourite RTS.
Alright, let me explain it then. Alright, so basically
Alright.
the Green Army men are in a big plastic bucket. So the opening cinematic cutscene, very interesting, just gets spilled out and then, Sergeant gets spilled out and then
This is
getting
just the
told
opening
about-
of Smash 64.
then they have a briefing where they talk about the tans, because the enemy
Why are you acting
toy
like
soldiers
we
are,
know? You're just they talk about that thing, remember guys, when everyone played Army Man for the fucking PS2?
Hey man, childhood classic.
There
right
were
there.
10 army men as well.
Yeah, but
Like
basically because
existing as toys,
how
I
the
remember
game-
them.
Oh, Hunter knows the lore.
See?
Hell
Jack is genuinely
Someone
just
did their homework.
Jack is genuinely just fighting for time here, because we asked him what's the fucking gameplay and he's telling us about the intro cinematic. He's like,
Hey, you needed the context, right? So the gameplay
Gotta build
Okay.
the scene, dude.
set the
gameplay
story.
basically revolves around because you're toy soldiers and you're small. It's all about trying to get to the house. So you start from the back garden, and you have to deal with fauna and giant. Instead of just the enemies, you have to you can't keep this straight.
It's like reverse Plants vs. Zombies.
Really, it is, Except you have to deal with spiders and cockroaches and stuff when you're in the house. But then on top of it, you've got other army men. You've got to save up plastic and electric by building your own base and stuff.
God, Hunter and I had the same reaction.
I'm not joking.
That was synchronized too.
Your two resources are plastic and electric.
What are the plastic army men gonna do with electricity?
Make tanks, make
What are they
helicopters.
gonna do with plastic?
But hold on, those tanks are plastic!
Make more army men.
Anyway. Yeah.
This is the worst episode we've ever made of this damn
God,
podcast.
dude, this is fucking hilarious.
I'm either gonna be not mad that no one listens or extremely mad when this is one of our most listened episodes. It's gonna be one or the other. I'm gonna be really.
Hey man, every episode I'm on is very good views.
It's true.
Maybe we're on to
Can
something.
you get to the point of your fucking video game, please?
I thought I explained it pretty well.
Oh, is that it? We done talking about Army Man. You make more
I think
Army
you're
Men.
done. I think you're done talking about it.
How dare you? I was enjoying it. I was having an engaging conversation.
You were
Well, look, if you
asleep
want
when
to-
he started.
I was playing it up for the camera podcast listeners, I swear. But no. So we have Fire
yeah.
Emblem. We have Army Toy whatever for the PS2. Anyone else got any thrilling strategy games to add to this list of top tier content? We're creating the biggest names in strategy history, dude. And here we've got 'em, dude. One of the Fire Emblems that's on the list.
I think we just move on.
Do we just move
Yeah.
on?
Bless you, Hunter.
Bless you, Hunter.
Nice.
Well,
Okay.
guys, I'll see you next week.
Well,
Contributed enough to this episode.
Goodbye, everybody.
well, that was us talking about RTSs. Guess we're moving on to Kyle. Hey, Kyle, have you got a genre that maybe all of us have played a video game in that we can talk about?
Okay,
It's
so
something
I
stupid.
really want to have this discussion.
Okay.
Someone
do it.
explain to me the appeal of open world games.
Oh, here we go.
Genuinely,
Aw,
please. I don't get it.
Okay. Who wants to take this one?
I feel like I've said enough.
I don't, here's the thing, right, is I don't know, because there's nothing worse than a bad open world game.
Yeah.
They're the
It is
worst
really
things
just
imaginable.
bland.
Like, the amount of time I played an Assassin's Creed game, right, and I'm like, this sucks. Let me out of this prison, please, of a map, because it's garbage. Like, I think what makes an open world, when it's good, is world building. You can't do any better a job of world building if you've actually built the fucking world. Like, in a load of linear RP, like, for example, right, Final Fantasy VII, great video game. Midgar, really cool place. But they,
Very.
other than hearing what people say and seeing some parts of it in cutscenes, a lot of it is kind of in your head of what Midgar truly is as a place. You have an idea of what it is. You have an idea of the problems that they're going through. But in terms of Midgar as an actual location, you're just basically running on, trust me, bro, here's a couple of corridors, imagine the rest. In Red Dead 2, when people are talking about a town, or like they'll say something like, something's happening in Valentine, I don't have to imagine what's happening, because I can go and get on my horse and ride over there and see the storytelling happening before my eyes. When a world's built out in a way where it's done really well, and let's be real, few and far between video games. To me, the peak of world...
Especially now that they've been throwing them just, a dozen a week.
Yeah. The pinnacle of this to me in terms of open worlds is Red Dead Redemption 2. I will always say that. The way that they made that map is mind-blowing. But when an open world's done right, there's no better world building, because it very much is, you'll hear someone on the street mention a rumor of something, and that isn't just hyperbole. That's not just a writer doing their job and writing some random bullshit. You can go over there, and there is something there for you to explore, and it could be something tiny. It could be a whole quest line that you couldn't have expected to be there. It's one of those things where it feels like you're constantly uncovering something, and you're actually living in a world. Because as much as I love linear games at times, it doesn't feel like you're living in that world. It feels like you're just following the path of a story that someone set out for you in that world. It's like The Last of Us. I don't feel like I'm in the world of The Last of Us. I feel like I'm experiencing a story in the world of The Last of Us through someone's POV. I don't feel like I'm living in that world. And if people think that they are living in that world, very good. I'm glad your imagination is that fucking huge that you can imagine the entirety of the fucking the world in that kind of view. But that's my main appeal of open world, is being able to be like, oh, here, this is a world that's living. It's like a living thing. Let's go and explore it and find these secrets, find these things that feel very much personal. On a plan A to plan B, playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, as much as I enjoy it, and as fun and as wacky of a fucking journey as it is from start to finish, right? I know that every single fucker that has played that game has had the exact same experience as I have. There are no... The deviations are, did you go up the stairs or use a fucking lift? Like, those are the kind of things we're talking about. We're not talking about groundbreaking realizations. But when I talk to someone about how they played Red Dead Redemption 2, no one ever plays that game in the same way. You might have people follow the main quest a lot, but you'll have a load of people that are like, well, I was heading to a main quest, and then I got ambushed by a bunch of bandits, and after looting those bandits, I found out about another camp, so I went over to that camp and found somebody and helped them, and then brought them back to a town, and like all these different stories. It's your own experience. It's why I feel like Breath of the Wild did so fucking much for people, is because it very much was, make your own story, like, it's your own unique experience. You're not feeling like, oh, this is the way that everybody experiences it. This is
to
my
add
story.
To Breath of the Wild, I think that an important thing for a game like this to have is the, systems that are interacting with you. Mm-hmm. Breath of the Wild has an incredible number of things that just are constantly you can do at any given time, and all these details that really make it feel a step above every other open world game I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having the temperature and whatever, having a flaming sword and going, if you have a flaming sword and are going up like the snow-covered mountain or whatever, you won't need heavier clothes because, sword is on fire. Details like that really... promote creativity in a way that, something like Assassin's Creed or what have you doesn't. That's why I still enjoy Metal Gear Solid 5, because before Breath of the Wild, I felt like that game had a bunch of different solutions to your problems as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have something to add, Joe?
Yeah, I think something that's kind of cool about Breath of the Wild as well is like the kind of social aspects, like what it brings out in the game, because of like how many personal experiences there are to experience in that game, and it encourages people to talk about their playthroughs of the game and stuff. So it's kind of neat in a way that it kind of brings people together to talk about the game in ways. And
that's what I think makes a good open world compared to a bad open world is personalized experience. And I say, it's exceedingly rare. Most of the time, an open world game is fine, and either its story carries it or it doesn't, right? You'll have an open world that is completely out, like, it's fine, it does the job, right? It's like Ghost of Tsushima's open world. It does the job, but at the end of the day, because there's no real personalization of that story to me, it feels like it's very restrictive of what you can and cannot do. Mm-hmm. To me, the story of Ghost of Tsushima has to carry the weight, and to me it didn't, and that's why I don't think I liked it as much as other people did. You know, for me, when I'm looking in for an open world game, and it's why I've gone off them so much recently, it is kind of personalized experience. What makes my playthrough unique? And that's the kind of stuff that happens. And it's probably like this happens in other games as well to a lesser extent, right? For example, a game that isn't open, quote unquote, open world that does this really well is Persona, and has always done it well since it's fucking on the PS2. Even though it's not an open world, because you have that personalized experience of what am I doing today, you attach more to the gameplay loop.
Persona,
because it feels like you're making
experience.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you for that one, Hunter. But it's tailor-made to you, and that's kind of what open worlds are, where it's like it's this sandbox where you're experimenting, or you find something that it makes you feel special in a weird way. Like, even though you know that the programmers planned that bandit route in, and it's a random number generator, and they planned for thousands of people will see it. Because of how random and spontaneous, it's not a thing on the map, and because of how randomly it happens and how quickly it happens, you feel like it was just for you. You feel like you've come across something that no one else has seen before. And that's what's special about open worlds, when they're done right. But as I've said, there are so many poopy fucking open worlds.
Yeah.
The only people, in my opinion, that do open worlds right are Rockstar. Nintendo Breath of the Wild, I think, is phenomenal. But my thing about Breath of the Wild 2 that I'm interested to see is, can it be done twice? That's my thing with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm kind of like worried about as well.
Because they did it. Because the formula. Because here's the thing: the formula worked once, and it was great. But can it work again?
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. Is, will the magic wear off?
Oh,
because Nintendo
like
isn't necessarily master storytellers here, right? You're not going to have the story of a Red Dead Redemption or something, or those experiences like that. It's gonna be more gameplay experiences. So it's gonna be interesting to me to see that.
Yeah.
But no, that's why I like open worlds, Kyle. Sorry that I kind of monologued at you. But I hope you kind of understand it a bit more now, why I like them when they're good.
Yeah. It's like, you guys know, I've tried dipping my toes into many different open world games, and just, I don't know why none of them just want to click with me. I just can't get into any of them like I hear other people do. I'm like, I hear you guys having fun with these games, and I want to have this fun too, but I just can't. And I don't know why I can't.
Me with almost any popular multiplayer game.
I feel it, like, I understand it, but at the same time, I've said it to you before. Xenoblade, even though it has a story that very much follows it through, is basically a guided tour of what at the end of the day is an open world when you get to it. So there are examples of you. That's, to me, for example, Xenoblade's a perfect example of a game where the open world doesn't do anything for me in a Xenoblade game at all. Being able to explore these massive regions
it barely
does
registers
fucking
for
nothing.
me.
I am literally point A to point B, Andy, dude. That's the straight line. Look at me fucking go, dude. Fuck you, big dino. I'm off this way. Like, no exploration.
I'm gonna push all these buttons.
Yeah, Button Valley, challenge accepted. I'm not fighting any fucker in here. I'm just pressing every button and moving on. But the story pushes you through. It's a very similar example. It's just whether the story clicks with you. I think you're an interesting case, though, where when a lot of the cool stuff that is being done with open world storytelling, I don't know if you'd 100% be into it. That's the thing.
What
I don't
kind
know
of
if
stuff is that?
Like Red Dead. Like, to me, Red Dead is like the pinnacle of open world storytelling, but at the same time, I don't know if that'd be necessarily a game that you would necessarily enjoy, because its depth isn't in like combat or whatever. Its depth is in its mechanics, like going hunting and having all these weird things that you can do and having your clothes affect your stuff like that, and just like these weird kind of systems that aren't necessarily interesting for you.
All of that stuff just seems kind of arbitrary to me. Yeah,
I get
it.
you know. But it's like one of those things where it's like I just don't think what's currently happening in open world is resonating with you. It's also for the fact that most JRPGs don't really like open worlds, or most Japanese developers aren't a huge fan of open worlds. Some more have been trying recently, but most of them are just like, we like making linear games, or if we're making an RPG, we're going to make it fairly linear, like Xenoblade, where yes, we have open worlds, quote unquote, but we're going to make you follow a fucking set path and go through it. There's not really anything to open world exploration.
I definitely think that the set path really would keep me more engaged, like Xenoblade 1 or 2, because when I tried playing Xenoblade X back on the Wii U, like, the story in that game is background noise. It's so dumb and useless, but the worlds, all the 5 different regions you explore in that game are all fucking massive. It's a bigger map than Breath of the Wild. So
I mean,
and that shit just like I feel overwhelmed. I think it's that I'm just overwhelmed when I play open world games.
Yeah, it's a thing, but some people like the structure, and I've definitely been in an open world scenario where I'm like, just get through the story. But I think the things that make my favorite open world games are the moments where I'm like, no, I don't want to go and just follow point A to point B. I want to go and explore. I want to go and see the sights and do some stuff. I want to get distracted. That's what makes a good open world game to me. It's like Breath of the Wild. I didn't just go, right, Divine Beast 1 done, next one. I was like, okay, what's over that hill? Let's piss about over here. That's the kind
Most
of thing.
games are just really bad at presenting you with anything interesting to go look for.
Yeah, exactly. So no, there you go. Nice little open world talk. Why not? I'm not mentioning a genre because I'm literally can't think of any others right now that we haven't talked about.
Boo,
because,
Ethan, boo.
What do you mean, boo, Ethan, boo? I mean, you just brought a fucking question for us. You didn't really bring
it led to some thought-provoking discussions.
It led to me fucking
About
rambling like
game
always.
design.
About a genre that we've already spoken about as well.
How dare you?
Shut up, Green Army man. Fucking point at you too, bitch.
Point.
Yeah, I've got nothing. We talk about everything else.
That's true. There's no video games left.
No video games left on the planet.
We did it.
So I
Well,
guess
guys,
The podcast
that's
is
about it
over.
for
You
this
made
one.
it to the finale.
Oh, God.
Goodbye, everybody.
What an ending.
This would be a really downer episode to fucking end the podcast on. I'll leave it that much. Just be
Yeah.
like
That'd be very
Scuffed
bizarre.
episode.
the most scuffed episode in the history of this.
Just be
fucking
like, sorry guys,
show.
the executives canceled us mid-season.
This is what it feels like.
The
It
joke is
feels-
the executive is Ethan.
It does feel like one of those things where it's like we just snuck into the fucking office to record an episode, but we're all drunk and we have no fucking clue what we're doing. Like, it just kind of feel like that kind of vibe right now. Where it's like, we were told to come in, but joke's on them. We're just going to chat shit for an hour. I guess I'll ask, because you have been playing something, Kyle. So,
Yo.
I don't know how the fuck I'm going to market this episode. I genuinely don't. How
Green
is
Army,
Legend
man.
of Dragoon?
Legend of Dragoon's pretty dope, not gonna lie. So last week when I brought it up, I'd only been like a little bit into the story.
Mhm.
Now I'm on to the third disc out of 4, third chapter.
Jesus.
Oh.
And
Jesus!
I gotta say, the game, it certainly hooked me in like right away. The game is very... The story's not really major. I don't know how to say it. Like, the
Jack,
story's
stop
there,
fondling your balls. I'm trying to listen to Kyle.
but... The story, like, it's there, and it's definitely starting to pick up, but what's definitely driving me forward is all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really liking all the party members the game throws at you. You got 7, 6 of them are great. The 7th one just feels like filler, but that's beside the point. He's a strong
Typical.
Unga Bunga monkey brain man with a big axe, so I'm not gonna
Nice.
complain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, game's good. As far as PS1 games, like, it's a late PS1 game, like bordering into PS2.
Yeah, it was like
territory. It was
2000.
2000.
2000.
2000 in America, 1999 in Japan, and 2001 in Europe.
Goes along with the other classic late games like Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, another pinnacle of the PS1.
Final Fantasy 9.
Final Fantasy 9, yeah.
No, I'm going to look up what you carry
Actual
on.
pinnacles.
No, I'm looking at when Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase for the PS1 came out. You carry on.
We get to talk about all the games we grew up with: Army Men, Scooby-Doo.
That would have been a better topic than what we did today. Jack. Well done.
Games,
See you next week for childhood games.
Yeah.
Damn, why didn't we think of that?
We're an hour in. We've done it, guys.
I feel like I haven't thought of it before because I feel like we bring up what we used to play as
we should stop.
When we were younger a lot.
That's fair. That is a fair point, Hunter.
What am I gonna do? Say I've played Devil May Cry and Zelda a lot?
We do that anyway, why not?
Yeah.
Conversation just goes that way anyways. Did you watch last week's episode?
That Scooby-Doo at the Cyber Chase came out for the PlayStation 1 in October of 2001.
I was 4 years old.
Oh, what a classic. Dude. It was also available for the Game Boy Advance. But there you go.
Wow.
Oh, man.
But no, that's just the whole idea of us coming up with a... my friend Ed has a podcast where his basically their whole concept of the podcast is their friend comes up with a stupid idea and tries to pitch them a stupid idea every time. It's basically like kind of like, hey, like it kind of like Shark Tank or whatever you have in America. We call it Dragon's Den, but you know, like kind of pitching an idea.
That's such a better name.
Yeah, Dragon's Den's a much cooler name. But it just reminded me of that. It's like we basically just did an episode of theirs where it's like we should come up with an idea for next week's podcast episode while we're recording a podcast episode.
Dude, we've come up with 2 episodes for next week's episode in this episode.
Wow.
We're set for 2 weeks
episode one
now.
more time, Kyle.
Fucking stonks, dude. Anyway, Legend of Dragoon.
I was on a... I don't remember where I was.
You said
this game's good and go play it.
Game good. Awesome.
Game good. Other than that, like... a couple weeks ago, I took part in the weekly Blazblue tournament, BB Tag, and I made qualifiers. I ranked high enough to make it to the North American qualifiers for the finals.
Amazing.
Nice.
And that's going to be happening next Saturday.
Oh, man.
Very cool. Follow Kyle on Twitter if you want to know all the what happens. Keep updated.
Keep updated with them. Yeah.
Keep updated.
He's
why
the
not?
best Blazblue player ever. Or
Hell
at least
yeah.
the best one I've ever seen.
I can safely say you're the best
no
Blazblue
one's
player
better
I
than
know.
Kyle.
Yeah. This is usually where we'd also say, okay, so what's Hunter played?
Unfortunately, we've been over that, and that's why this episode is like this.
Then we asked Jack, hey Jack,
Great.
how are video games? What have you been playing? You played anything as of
I
recent?
just got
You've
Crash Warped.
Why? Why did you play Crash Warped?
I wanted to relive. Like, I haven't played the original since I was a child, so I'll buy it just to see what it's like. And I played like maybe the first Warp for a bit, and was just sitting there like, holy shit! Not only is the PAL version just god awful, but I just didn't realize the game controls like Crash 1 as well, momentum wise. I was like, oh, this is horrible. I'm not playing this.
You bought the PS1 game instead of playing NST?
I do like NST. I mean, I like NST Warped.
That's fair.
I like NST Warped.
I only hate NST2. 1 and Warped are fine.
Yeah, they're fine. I just wanted to play the original to see what it was like again, but...
I think 1 and Warped are better probably on NST in terms of just like an ease of use kind of perspective. Yeah,
yeah, easily.
I definitely enjoyed 1 on the remake more.
It's my favourite one in the Insane trilogy is Crash 1 by far. It actually makes me like Crash 1. Before, when I saw Crash 1 on PS1, I wanted to rip my fucking hair out. But someone's like, do you want to play Crash 1 NST? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll play Crash 1 NST. It's semi-entertaining. Well, it is pretty entertaining, actually. Yeah, are we keeping you up, Kyle? Kyle just yawned, podcast listeners. How dare you? This is the most engaging fucking episode of the podcast we've ever had, and here you are, yawning. How dare you, good sir? How dare you?
Ethan, I will just walk away right now.
Leave your camera on?
Yep.
How dare you? You won't want to leave, because he's left. How he's gone.
You won't want to leave.
Yeah,
Bet.
he won't come back. Well, he's come back. Damn it. Oh, he came back.
Not staying committed to the joke. Boo.
You know, I thought about going to the bathroom, not gonna lie.
When we commit
And just
to
be
it.
gone for like 2 minutes.
And the episode's ended without you.
How dare you? I have been playing a video game. I've played 15 hours of a video game this week. Thank you very much, Jack.
Wow.
Sit down. Because I got bored.
See if my guess was right.
Yeah, I've been saying I would replay this game on the podcast since last May. I have finally restarted playing. Well, I playing through for a second. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I have started playing.
Yahtzee!
Oh, shit. My guess was way off.
What was it? Me playing Persona 5 for the 16th time? Hell
No,
yeah,
I
baby,
thought
let's
you were
go.
playing Persona 3.
Oh, fuck no.
I thought you
Well,
finally started that.
Oh no, I have a fun story about Persona 3. We can talk about that real quick if you want.
Oh,
I played the
Lord.
first hour and a half of Persona 3 and stopped playing it. That was my fun story. I was like, I'm not ready yet. I started playing it and I was like, I stopped playing Persona 4. I was gonna go for the platinum, but then when the whole PlayStation Store not shutting down thing, I was like, okay, cool, I can sit on it because I don't really feel like playing Persona 4
I'm
yet.
safe.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not in the mood to play Persona 4 again. So then I was sat there and I was like, I'll try starting Persona 3. And then I came to the realization of it's just, I'm not ready to play a Persona game again yet. I very much was like, yeah, it's interesting, this whole Seers thing. I'm like, yeah, kind of interesting. These characters are somewhat interesting, but I was still very much in the intro to it. I went into the first floor of Tartarus or whatever the fuck it's called, and that straight away was like, yeah, I can see already why people think this shit will suck, dude. I can already tell if there's 6 million floors of this. I'm like, oh fuck. I am on easy though, so I will just baby bitch my way through the entirety of that with my Unga Bunga stick, just fucking whacking
The
them.
whole of hearing about Tartarus in P3, it just sounds like the extra dungeon in Dark Cloud, where it's just like this, after you beat the game, they're like, here's a 100-floor tower to climb. With a cool boss at the end. And I was like,
It genuinely
alright.
does feel like it's like, oh, it's
I was like,
Mementos,
alright,
but that's
well-
it. It's like,
well,
that is
I've
the
got-
tweet.
Well, I've got this sword that still kills things in one combo, so I've got nothing better to do.
But yeah,
And
so
my
I did
reward
start.
at the end is another sword that kills things in one hit.
I did start playing it. My overall impressions are I'll get back to it at some point. Shooting yourself in the head, kind of cool, but at the same time, I feel like
That is
people have
a
bigged it
really-
up. I feel like people have bigged it up a bit too much, so that when he did it, I was like, yeah, well done, you shot yourself in the head. Good job, bud. What do you want, a medal? Like, what do you want? Good job.
I mean, it's better than the tarot card thing.
Oh, fucking nothing's lamer than fucking Narukami shit,
Yu-Gi-Oh!
dude. Fucking,
Sorry,
yeah.
did you just use the words lame and Narukami in the same
Yes, it's
sentence?
fucking lame.
Those words don't go together.
I'm sorry.
He's a Chad.
I'm sorry, but compared to his fucking brothers, where you've got fucking Mr. Shooty Head Guy and Mr. Throw Away the Mask, and he's got,
Shooty
and he's
head
got,
guy.
and he's got Draw 4, bitch.
Dude, it's the Uno reverse card.
It's so lame. It's so lame. Like,
Dude, you're lame.
it is. It's so lame. But no, I started replaying Xenoblade 2. Get back on topic.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
15 hours in.
Hell yeah.
Cal can tell me how well I'm doing on time. Is I'm in chapter 3, and I just went to the theater to talk to that guy. That's where I am.
You're
I've been
schmoovin'.
but I've been doing side quests,
Hell yeah.
so I'm not schmooving. I don't know what I'm going through this pretty quickly, but at the same time, it's like I'm also doing all the side quests, so I don't have any clue why I'm quicker this time if I'm also doing all the bullshit fetch quests.
Because you understand the gameplay now.
Yeah, I do.
That's definitely a big part of it.
Probably 100%. Well, yeah, it's also because I now know how to fucking auto-cancel attacks, so I'm literally just sitting there going stab, move, so I'm just doing really quick hits anyway, so... Anyway, I digress. The main reason I've been scared of replaying Xenoblade 2 is because Xenoblade 2 has been 100% a game where I've always been like, did I just like it because of at the time? Was it one of those things where it was like, it was a timely thing? Did I just like it at the time? Was it like a just, that's how I feel about it? I've kind of been scared of going back and going, oh, I don't actually like this game that much because I don't like Xenoblade 1 that much. So ever since I went and played Xenoblade 1, I'm like, oh, maybe I just don't like Xenoblade. And it was just kind of, I was in the mood for a kind of JRPG anime story. And that's just what kind of catered it. But no, after playing it for 15 hours, I can safely say with confidence that I don't know who the fuck these people that think Xenoblade 1 is better than Xenoblade 2. It's not fucking true. Like, I honestly don't understand it. I found the story more engaging, I found the combat more engaging, and I found the soundtrack better. And I'm like, why is this game so fucking underrated compared to the original when it literally, in my opinion, except for voice acting, which, to be fair, the voice acting is like fine wine, dude. It's like, is it bad? Yes, but is it so good? Oh my god, dude. Like, every time Rex speaks, I'm like, inject it, dude, inject it. I don't know. But like, sometimes he honestly has some really good lines. I'm like, yeah,
I've
you
been
actually
told that quite a lot, actually. Yeah.
I'm like, it's such a good game, dude. It's such
Apparently,
a good game.
the reason why Rex's voice being as bad as it was due to actually the voice direction of the games, from what I've been told.
100%, because other people are like that. It's not just...
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are lines from everybody where I'm like, yeah, this sounds a bit weird. Like, some of the pacing is off. Like, they don't do what other JRPGs like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts do, where they actually pace the lines out, where they look at the translation, they look at the syllables and actually pace it out. There are so many times where you see a character's mouth moving and you hear the English VO go for the first quarter of the fucking sentence and then the last half, and there's like this big gap in the middle of mouths moving and no words coming out.
Final Fantasy X oftentimes would do the opposite of that problem, where they try to be too crazy about matching it up. Yeah. And this popped up in Titus's dialogue a lot, where it'd just be like saying things at the speed of sound at the end of a sentence.
Can you imagine having a human conversation with someone and then...
Yeah, genuinely, that is genuinely how it was. It genuinely is. It's like Rex will say something like, I won't let you take Pyra, I won't let you get to her. And there'll be a gap between those two sentences that's about 3 seconds long, and there's mouth movements. And you're just like...
That'd be a really funny thing to do to mess with somebody. Just like finish your sentence and then keep moving your mouth. Make them think that their like perception of reality is messed up.
Exactly.
You could do that on the podcast and mess up Ethan during editing.
No. But no.
Yes.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I wish they would just push it all to the front. Or, like, I wish they'd front load it in a way where it's like, don't have the awkward gaps. Just have them say their lines the way it's meant to be said, and then just have a awkward gap at the end where the mouths keep moving. Don't have these weird fucking stutters. But no, it's part of the charm. The voice acting is honestly like part of the charm, which
eventually you just forget about it, honestly,
and you end up kind of loving it, like, yeah, genuinely. But there are so many bits, especially after playing Torna, there's so many just little bits of dialogue and just little nods that you just get, and you're like, man, they really thought this fucker out, like, really, like, they planned all of it really well. And it's, I don't know, it's just so much more entertaining and engaging than Xenoblade 1 ever was to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that it's backed up my opinion on Xenoblade 2, that I'm like, yeah, this game is so much fucking better, it's unreal. But it just is. It's just like, in a way, the kind of oddities of Xenoblade 2 is what makes it more interesting. It is having the weird kind of voice lines at times and having the awkward kind of conversations that makes it stand out and more interesting to me than your run-of-the-mill fucking story of Xenoblade 1, which is essentially just fucking boy tries to get revenge. And Xenoblade 2 also has a very generic story of boy helps girl, but it's just a lot more entertaining along the way because there's a lot more interesting plot points and plot twists.
Girl
I said
bumps
it about
into
Xenoblade
boy
1.
with Bobby very aggressively.
I said it about Xenoblade 1, where there's one plot twist in Xenoblade 1, maybe two, right? In fact, I'll say there's two. I'll say there's two main plot twists in Xenoblade 1 that I will count, that I'd count as big, like, OMG moments, like, oh, that's where we're going. Both are predictable, and one of them hit for me. The other one is completely fucking flat. Like, I fell flat, and I hadn't had Xenoblade 1 completely spoiled, right? I knew something was up with a certain character, but I didn't know what that certain thing was. And when it happened, I was like, why do people think this is good? Like, I'm like, honestly, this is shit. And it made me hate the fucking game more. Xenoblade 2, even with just this little twist, I'm just like, that's interesting, or that's quirky, or let's do it. Let's go down that rabbit hole a bit. and the characters are just a lot more interesting. I feel like the side characters that you meet along the way, like Morag or Zeke, are just a lot more charming and have a lot more personality than any of the side characters in Xenoblade 1. I really like Melia. I really like Ricky, but they're just there. They just exist. They just feel like they're there in the game's like, yeah, cool. Even though Zeke and Morag kind of fill the same role of kind of just side characters that do exist in the story, they feel like they impact it more just because of their presence and their personality in the game, actually going, hey, get to know these people more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ricky is just, look at me, I'm horny fucking furry thing. Look at me go. Dude. And to be fair, you also have horny furry thing in Tora as well. Like, that fucker, a bit too horny at times. And, like, he needs a hit with the fucking horny stick.
Quite.
Bonk that boy. But even with Tora, he actually gets screen time and gets some fucking moments where I'm like, oh, that's funny. Whereas Ricky, I'm like, oh, I remember you, Ricky. You're still there. You'll make like one line in a cutscene every fucking 20 hours, but you're there. Like,
Tora's fucking great.
I just
1,000 times better than Ricky ever was.
There's some dumb shit in Xenoblade 2. I'll always talk about dumb shit, like the over-sexualization of the female characters is so fucking whack at times. I'm like, Japan, are you fucking high? And to be fair, at times, I don't blame Monolith, and I don't blame Nintendo Japan in a way, because Japan's just fucking horny in general. The people I blame for this is Nintendo of America going, we need to rush this out and get it day and date. I'm like, you probably shouldn't have done that, because the West isn't going to be like, oh yeah, we're also that horny on main Twitter will be. But most of the West will be like, it's a bit weird.
If Resident Evil 8 had come out before Xenoblade 2, it might be a different story. The world wasn't ready for that. Now, Vampire Lady has changed everyone.
Exactly. But I mean, I feel as though there's bits and pieces where I'm like, there's some shit that I'm like, that's a bit weird. And there's some things where I'm like, yeah, maybe not. But on the whole, I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to carry on playing it. At first, I thought I'll play it until I get bored, but I'm 15 hours in. I'm about to enter what we like to call the first film that's in this game.
Hell yeah.
End of chapter 3, start of chapter 4, where there's literally, I believe, like 2 hours of fucking cutscenes, so I can't wait for that. Sit down with... Not even joking, amount. Jack. There's like 90 minutes of fucking cutscenes. Not even joking.
Rivaling Metal Gear 4 here.
Yeah, genuinely. And one thing I'll say that I also agree, the fucking fight scenes are so sick, dude. Like, honestly, the amount of times I'm just grinning because of how over the top and stupid they are, but they're so good, and the music's blasting. And my god, does Xenoblade 2's soundtrack fucking slap, dude. Fuck
dude,
Xenoblade
Counterattack
1.
Is dope.
What does
Counterattack is like my
have?
favorite.
It has the fucking planes music. What do you fucking do? Yeah, Xenoblade 2 has so many bangers. Add Torna on it, even more bangers, dude. But honestly, every time the fucking guitar riff starts and you just have the fucking people talking, and you just have the fucking epic action scenes, so good, dude. Honestly, I'm constantly smiling when playing that game. Whereas Xenoblade 1, I was constantly being like, am I supposed to be liking this yet? Am I supposed to be liking this yet? Mechon are just boring, dude.
Maybe that was
the villains in Xenoblade 2 are much better.
Oh, 100%. I just love... and
Tetsuya Nomura's entourage.
And people will be like, yes, but they're a bit campy villains. But I'm like, in a JRPG...
They're great.
Okay,
don't you kind of want that in a way? Like, you kind of want the campiness in a bit. Malos is just this absolute camp fest, but it's so good. Like, it's like... You could wring the fucking campiness out of that man, and you're just like, yeah, it's so good, though.
And I mean, you have Jin and Petroka to balance out the campiness.
Yeah, just like, you piece of shit. Just like, honestly, he's so good, dude. Like, just the way he's... Honestly, I love Xenoblade 2 with a passion. Like, it's kind of doubled down to me where I'm like, man, I really do love this story and these characters and this game. And I will never understand why people shit on it as much as they do. And I think it's one of those things. It's kind of like how Persona 4 fans treat Persona 5 fans, and I'm sure how Persona 5 fans will treat Persona 6 fans in that kind of cycle. I assume it will 100% be the same when an inevitable Xenoblade 3 comes out, and everyone's like, oh, it's that game's turn to get beaten to death with the fucking stick, while everyone says now that Xenoblade 2 is the greatest thing that's ever happened to mankind. You know, that always happens with JRPGs, it seems.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking good, dude. Like, honestly.
I love Xenoblade 2. It's easily top 3 favorite games of all time for me. I still go back to it just to play around with it, with all the different combat mechanics. Like, I haven't gone back to Xenoblade Definitive Edition since beating it.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to Xenoblade 2 regularly, just to goof around. Like, there's so much in that game. It's more than enough to keep you busy. It is like what 100%ing Crash 4 is to RPGs. There's so much shit to do in this game, and I'm still learning it, and I've had this game since 2017.
But no. Yeah. It's kind of doubled me down. I'm like, man. And it's got me, like, I'm sitting here and I'm playing it, and obviously it doesn't run the best. It doesn't look the best. That game could look way better, and if it wasn't on the Switch. Stuff like my one hope for Xenoblade 2 is one day it kind of gets the love that Xenoblade 1 got, where we actually get a remaster at some point, where we get it running in a really nice way and something like that. I don't think we ever will, because fuck Nintendo, they hate everyone and everything, right? We'll get another Xenoblade remake before we get a fucking Xenoblade 2 anything. But man, I just hope that this game gets treated in a similar way that Xenoblade 1 got treated. Because man, it's so fucking good. And I'd recommend people give it a chance if they haven't already. And especially if Xenoblade 1 didn't hit. Because Xenoblade 2 hits in all the ways for me that Xenoblade 1 just didn't. If you want a JRPG story similar to Xenoblade 1, but you want more interesting enemies, more interesting fucking combat, and just more campy, yes, but to me, more engaging characters, then go for it. Because there's no amount of Ryan can get me through the rest of that cast at times, dude. Like, I love Ryan and Dunban to pieces, but the rest of them are fuck them, dude. Even Melia, who I like, the reason that I'm like air on Melia is because the game is air on Melia, because they do
Melia
fucking
gets
nothing
hard.
with it.
Yeah, she does.
They do nothing with her. Even the good characters in Xenoblade 1, they do fucking nothing with. They focus on the two characters I like the least. It's great fun. It's great fun. I don't even hate Shulk. It's the other one. Fuck him, dude. Fuck him.
Shulk is this weird case where he's really, like, during the middle of the game is when I'm very, like, on him. In the beginning, I think he's cool, and then towards the end, I'm like, okay, suddenly
I never
not
recovered.
bad anymore.
I never recovered. That middle section is just too bad. Like, they both have a case of the simps, Rex and Shulk, but Rex has kind of got that constant, and I can deal with a constant more than I can deal with the fucking whatever the fuck Shulk goes through, his little fucking hissy fit halfway through that video game. He kind of does an Atreus from God of War, where he just has a fucking hissy fit. Except Atreus kind of handled his hissy fit better, and he's like 8.
So you're telling me Shulk has a Morgana moment?
Yes, he does have a Morgan. That's a perfect way to explain it.
Except he doesn't leave the party.
Yeah, except he doesn't leave the party, and he's just you don't want to be there, dude. You don't want to be there. The only negative is I want the costumes that are in the DLC, because I am playing with the DLC, but I have to wait till chapter 4 and do some bullshit challenges. Just let me change the look of my characters, goddammit. Xenoblade Y.
You're coming up on being able to get the Leggings Mithra costume, so...
Are they all in the challenge mode thing at the end of chapter 4?
Leggings Mithra, you go to the Argentum, and there's a Nopon you can talk to, and they give it to you. They'll have like a little trophy over their head.
Oh, okay, cool. Anyway, I just boosted the podcast by another fucking 20 minutes, guys. You are welcome. That's what we do when we talk about Xenoblade again.
What a weird episode.
It's a fucking train wreck, dude.
I thought the episode tied off very nicely at an hour, and then you just Xenoblade for 20 minutes.
Well, once I start talking, once me and Kyle get started on something, dude, we're just gonna talk. Just gotta happen, dude. It's like when they play DMC and they talk about DMC for 20 minutes, and I'm sitting there like, "Wow, this is gonna happen." Yeah.
I will talk about Xenoblade forever.
But no,
the whole fucking franchise.
We don't need to make it wrap up nicely. This is basically just the general. This is what our conversations are like. Are just going from fucking place to place.
This is the filler episode of the podcast until the E3 arc.
We should have done it. We should have done it in a hot tub on Twitch, dude. Feels bad.
Man.
Then we could have had the beach episode. Next time we'll do the beach episode. Next time. But that has been our show, I guess. Thank you for coming to the most unfucking the most chaotic episode of
Ill-prepared.
HGO. Yeah, ill prepared. As always, our links are on screen right now. You can go follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, do whatever you want. Remember, you can always go and click subscribe on both the YouTube channels. It would help us out a lot. You can follow us on Twitter at HotGamersOnly to keep in the know on HGO. And if you want to find us on your favorite podcast service, you can in the description, where we're on podcasts like Apple Music and Spotify. We're on everything, guys. Go and listen. Wow. Go leave us a review as well if you like. Please
If
hit
this is your
subscribe.
first episode, please look at another one. We promise it's not this erratic.
May I tempt you for the Persona 5 spoiler cast? It seems to be the only fucking video that a load of people listen to on the constant, dude. I swear that episode just continues to fucking shine on podcast services. Like, it's
Dude, I'm just
crazy.
waiting for you to make the sequel.
You see, I can guarantee the Strikers, like the Persona 5 Royal Spoilercast 2 will slap. If me and Hunter, we still need to do the Strikers one at some point, Hunter, in like the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I'm feeling a bit
yeah.
better. But you can
Now
guarantee
we're feeling
that one will
better.
flop. But if we do a Persona 5 Royal Spoilercast 2, that one will also fucking go up.
With me
I'll
as
be like-
well. Think about
Yeah,
it.
think about it. Wow. We'll make it happen, guys. 100 subs, come on. You know you want to. You know you want
We're
to hear us
very
talk
close.
about Persona for another 6 hours. Come on, guys.
Oh god.
We won't
Make a
you
whole
sit.
Lord of the Rings length episode.
The director's cut, yeah, exactly.
It's fading to black into more endings.
But wait, there's more. But no, that's been our show. Thank you ever so much for listening / watching. We'll be back next week with an actual episode of this damn podcast. It's not just a chuckle fuck pile of wank that this was. Nah, it's interesting. It'll be fine. We'll be fine, guys. We'll have a good episode next week. But until then, have an amazing week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.